hopefully this isn't terrible quality. I'm getting back into my YouTube and getting back into quite a few different avenues. So like this one, for instance, if you see the title, will actually be about a book. We'll get into that in a second. Um, so I'll be getting into like some of my stuff with my books, my reading, my writing, as well as all my usual gaming and some other movie and TV stuff. But I gotta get back into the swing of things and figure out audio video, so hopefully this isn't terrible quality. I have messed with some things for my Twitch streaming, which I'm actually shutting down, and I'm moving everything over to YouTube. However, I actually wanted to do this, because I did do a slight review on it, and right now I'm on the second book. But I'm reading through all of Jack Carr's stuff, and so I really wanted to do something about reading Terminal List because I watched the TV show and I loved it. One of the things that I didn't really think about watching TV show just because I've never served, never been in the military. I wanted to, but I never could for medical reasons. I knew several vets who couldn't watch it because of the level of paranoia in the show where, like, he goes to do something, an attack happens, but he goes back later and it's all cleaned up and he thinks he's going insane. I will say one of the things I like about this book is that is not in here. Like, there are moments where it's like, oh, am I going crazy? Am I seeing things? Is it the tumor messing with my head? That level of paranoia does not exist in the book, and I appreciate that so much more. This is actually one that I'm going to recommend to quite a few of the vets who are interested in the story, who couldn't watch the TV show, to try this out more. I will say, I don't like short chapters. I'm very much a long chapter guy. I have a book idea where I'm actually writing right now that is anywhere from about 10 to 20 pages a chapter, and it's 20 chapters. I like that format more. That's just me personally. However, this is like 70 chapters with 2 to 5 pages a chapter. So, for those people who like this is your book. All of Jack Carr so far is like this. I'm only on the second book, but from what I can tell, it is all like that. For those who don't know, there's also, because this is written by Jack Carr, who is a former Navy SEAL, he uses a lot of real life stuff. And let me see if I can find a page. There is quite a bit of things. Let me use the back of the book. Quite a bit of things that are actually redacted in the book. The first book, during the story, there's not too many redacted things. However, there's a few things in the back of the book that you'll understand. The second book has a lot more redacted stuff. So there's a lot of things like that that are redacted throughout the series because he has to submit it to a certain literary section of the United States government, and they blacked out everything that he could not use. So he decided to keep it in the book instead of going through and editing things out. He just kept out the blacked out chunks. I will say one thing that is kind of difficult to get into if you're not used to it. It took me about half of the first book to get into. Is the thought and mentality of the character. You will see him repeating a lot of things that he identifies. Like if he identifies a car, you will see the full name of the car appear in the paragraph. Like the character will think like, oh, that's a 2004 Escape 4x4 XL Ultra, whatever. Like he will say that every time he references something, whether a vehicle, a weapon, whatever it is, it will be identified because he will be scanning an environment, identifying things. You'll see that a lot. So that took a little bit getting used to as well. But once I kind of remembered, what I'm reading and what perspective I'm reading, it makes a lot of sense. And again, that's not necessarily like a gripe or anything. That is truly what the character is and who wrote the book. So I will give that to them, that you will understand a lot of things about certain types of people reading this once you understand and get there. The book was a lot more about, not quite as actiony. Terminal List itself, the first book, was a lot slower than I expected. It took a little bit of time to get the gumption and flow going. However, though, I am halfway through the second book, and I'm finding it a lot easier to read, both understanding the character after the first book, but the action and the mystery speeds up a lot more in the second book, and there's more to it, with a couple more longer chapters in there that tie some things together. But overall, I would probably give Terminal List like a good solid. For the first book, I'd probably give it like a good solid 8.75 out of 10. Um, just because it is very much written from the perspective of a certain type of person. And you can tell Jack Carr just kind of put that in there, and there are some things that will make harder for us that haven't lived that life to understand it. It will take some time. Not a bad thing, but it will take some time. But there's a glossary at the back. For those of you who don't know certain lingo, certain words, what certain things are, all that is in the back of the book as well. So I would definitely say, any of you wanting to get into the books, take your time with the first book. Read it, understand it, read it twice, read the glossary at the back, all that stuff. It is very good, very, very good. I will probably rarely give something like a 10 out of 10, but I'll give something pretty close to it, unless it just blows my mind. But absolutely, I'm loving Jack Carr, and I'm loving his style and getting the character, and I'm excited because I have all but the last book. The last book came out less than a year ago. It's super expensive, so I'm waiting till I get to the other 6 books to get the 7th book. But I highly recommend, if you like the TV show and you're excited for the next season that just started filming or is getting ready to film here shortly, definitely go check out the book and see what adventures are awaiting James Reece in the books. You will find the book is quite a few differences than the TV show. For instance, the attack on the compound in South America was a lot more tense in the book. It was more one-man army than the TV show did. TV show, they had a lot more people there helping him and assisting him. This one was very much like nobody intervened until the very end when he got blown up in the hallway 3 stories up after he cleared the first 2 stories by himself. Very, very, very intense. So, what are some other major differences? Oh, the ending was very different. Very, very different. I won't spoil that, but the ending was very different. You still learn same things as a TV show, but how it goes about ends very differently and leaves an interesting question at the end that the second book kind of not necessarily so far as glossed over, but it is a morality thing that he struggles with in the second book so far. But I haven't finished the second book, so I don't know where that's going yet. I would definitely, like I said, definitely say there's not as much paranoia. There's a lot more investigation. There's a lot more of analyzing things, learning information, and executing the mission. That's what the book is about, versus the TV show where there's a few extra steps of paranoia. So, you get a very different vibe from the book than the TV show. So, I would definitely say if you want the same story told in a different light from a different perspective, I would say the TV show gives a more third-person perspective versus the book where it's a more first-person inside the mind of the character throughout the story. So I would say that's probably the big differences, and I really enjoyed it. I'm about halfway-ish, just about, through True Believer, which is book 2. I don't know if that's going to be what the second season of the show is about. I haven't revealed too much yet. I do know there's a prequel that they're going to make about Taylor Kitsch's character, Ben. So I'm assuming they're going to keep with True Believer, which so far is a lot better. It's very interesting, but we'll go through that in the next video once I finish it. So, but I would definitely say if you like the TV show, I think you'll like the book a little bit better once you get into it. It's gonna take a little while, but stick with it. So that'll be my 2 cents about that. But I will catch everybody in part 2 for True Believer once I finish it here in a few weeks. And adios. Have a good one. Check out everything down below. And we'll be getting back more into our YouTube stuff now and going a little bit more full-time what we do with books, TV shows, movies. I'm going to explore some of my writing stuff and putting it out on here, as well as keep up with all of our usual gaming stuff. So, adios, and see you then.